Parshat Vayechi, the last Torah portion in the book of Genesis, of the Bereshit. And here we are talking about Yaakov. He's laying on his deathbed, and he gives a blessing to all, gives blessings, separate blessings to each of the 12 tribes, to each of his sons. In the beginning, in the beginning of this sixth Torah portion, he gives a blessing to Joseph's two sons, so his grandsons, but all the rest is his sons. One of them is Asher. Let's go. The brachas, let's make this bigger here again. Oh, maybe made it too big, huh? Well, we'll see. Okay, the brachas mit welche Yaakov Avinu, with which Jacob, Yaakov, had gebenched, blessed sein Sohn, his son Asher, is me'asher shmeina lachmo. Asher bread, his bread will be oil. Zocht oif dem Rashi says, as thus meant, this means as by him, that by him, by Asher, zol zayin asach boimel, there'll be a lot of oil. Un Rashi is Mosif, and Rashi also adds on, as thus is oich given Moshe Rabbeinu's bracha. This is also the same blessing that Moses later on in the end of the book of Deuteronomy, Zota bracha, he gives the same blessing to Asher. What does it say? V'tovel b'shemen raglo. He will dip in oil his feet. There will be so much oil in the area of Israel that was allotted to Asher. He's going to eat it. My door closed. Yeah. So he's going to, that'll be his food, and he'll even be able to immerse his feet in the oil. Okay, so a person can ask himself, good, very nice. You know, I guess back then maybe it was very important to have oil, who knows? But that's worth so important that it should be written in the Torah. And it's the same blessing that Yaakov gave to Asher as the Moses gave to Asher. Huh? Moses gave it this blessing to Asher, what, 200, something like years, 300 years later. The same blessing to Asher that they're going to have a lot of oil. Okay, I mean, it's better than nothing. For sure, better than nothing, at least to get some oil. But I mean, I ask you, is that really so important? You know, you win the first prize, you get oil to dip your feet in oil. You're going to have so much oil, you can dip your feet in. Huh? You happy now? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be really very important. Says the Rebbe, we also says that not only that these are blessings for Asher. Who knows who Asher is today? Asher was one of the 10 tribes. He's not even around today, right? Not even around. So even if we did have oil, it's not such a big thing. But the Asher also, we don't even know where Asher is. So that's not, and this is a blessing that was, 3,000 something, 600 years ago, this blessing. So what's going on here? What is the Torah? I mean, is the Torah really so, how do you say, so, pikiyun, there's a word like that, pikiyun. The dealing with what oil, that Asher got a blessing with oil thousands of years ago. Is this really of any importance to us? Says the Rebbe, this is of ultimate importance to us. Men hat shoin osach mol gevret. We spoke many times vegan them as all inyanim, that everything which is in Gashmish, which is in the physical world, zayin and oich da and ruchnis, there's also in the spiritual worlds. That's why it's written in the Torah, to indicate that this is, he got oil. Blessing was in oil. But the main blessing was in something much higher than that. The oil here was just a vessel for this blessing. We'll see. Exactly the opposite. From the Inyanim Ruchtin, spiritual things come down, the Zelbinyan in the physical world also. So everything you see, all of a sudden everything flips around, right? If you read this, of what the Rebbe is saying, if you take this seriously, so everything, all of a sudden the whole entire world flips around. The world is just a vessel. It's just a, how do you want to say, a movie screen for the spiritual. And what we see is just the spiritual worlds sort of, how do you say, projecting themselves into the physical things we see around the world. So you have shoes on your feet, you have walls around you, you're sitting on a chair. All of these things are really spiritual levels which are shining down into this world. And you see, so from the Inyan, it says even more. The spiritual is more important than the physical. All the spiritual things, they come into the world. And that the spirit, the world is just a reflection of the spiritual from whence they came. Oib thus is azoy, if so, in Yonim from felt in the things of the world, how much more so, and infinitely more so, are the things which are in the Torah. Zayin da in Ruchtis, they must also be in the spiritual worlds. Varum, because Yeder Inyan, everything which is in the Torah, Hadach in Zich in itself, nit nor dem pshat, not only the simple meaning in the Torah, there really was such a person as Jacob, and he really did bless his children, and he really did have children, and he really blessed Asher, the tribe of Asher, with actual physical oil. But the fact is, everything in the Torah for sure shows on something even deeper than the world. If everything in the world has a spiritual source, everything in the Torah for sure has even a deeper spiritual source. The Torah comes directly from God, directly from God's will. The world is also God's will. It's also God, but that's external will. That's, so to speak, the world is the creation, and the Torah is the reason for the creation. That's deeper. So if everything in the world is hinting at something higher, so for sure everything in the Torah is hinting at something higher. Darush, in the Torah, there's what's called pshat, the simple meaning. There's also remez, a deeper meaning, drush, deeper meaning, and sod, which is the mystical, deepest meaning. Azoy, oich, the brachas also, if so, this also applies to what we're learning over here, the blessing that Yaakov, Jacob, and later on Moses gave to the tribe of Asher. It says, Shmeina lachmo, that oil will be his bread. His mainstay will be bread. And that he will dip in oil his foot. What could this possibly mean spiritual? Chach, in mikra, excuse me, the Torah never goes out of its simple meaning. As is taka gaven, that it was pshut in Gashmis, that as a blessing to the tribe of Asher, that they had a lot of olives, oil, biren, that's what the olives are called in Yiddish. Und der nachala, from in the nachala from Asher, from the portion of Jacob, of Asher, I'm sorry, of Asher. V Rashi, like Rashi brings over there the story that is told in the Gemara, that Shaftem Ober Nit, that somebody told his son to go and get dates, and he stuck his hand. There was this only oil, and he stuck his hand, and there was a lot of oil. Okay, so it says Shaft das aber nit ois dem ganzen Einhold from the pasuk, but this is not this fact that there was a lot of oil. This is not the whole meaning of this sentence of this blessing. On es is zicher foran. There certainly was something much higher spiritually contained in this blessing. What is it? What is it? They're in from Tovel, the whole idea of dipping, immersing your foot in oil. That was the blessing to Asher, right? Immerse your feet will be immersed in oil. Physically, we know what that is. What does it mean spiritually? Shemen, oil, is a remez, it's a hint, ein Deitung of Chachma, and wisdom. Was Chachma, which wisdom is their hechster tile, is the highest level in a person. Wisdom is synonymous in this case with, let's say, faith, conscience, things which are above understanding. Chachma. Says oil is this thing of, that's why it floats up on the top. Oil floats on top of other liquids, just like Chachma is the highest of the 10 sphere, the 10 aspects of man. Man is made in the image of God, so God also has these 10 aspects. Nevertheless, Chachma is the highest of them. Chachma is like pure consciousness, awareness. Regel, the foot, this is the niduslik, this is the lowest aspect of man. Tov b'shem and raglo. That's why he says that Asher will dip in oil his foot. Oil is the highest and the foot is the lowest. So what's he going to do with, what does this mean? He's going to like contort himself. We'll see. It means as regel nutzt sich mit shemen, that the foot will utilize oil. This means as chach oiserlich is doch regel, even though that externally, superficially, it seems that the foot is the lowest, but nevertheless, von deswegen is faran, there is in ear, in the foot, gor a groise maila, a very high aspect. And when you dip your foot into something, that something, whatever it is below your foot. So he says he's going to dip his foot into oil. Oil is the highest aspect of human personality, human awareness, comprehension. And by Asher, there's a blessing that his foot will be, the feet will be higher than the wisdom. What does that mean? That even Chachma, oil, kumt nitzu der maila. It must be that some sort of a good thing is going to be revealed in the feet of Asher that is higher than even this aspect of wisdom or faith or whatever you want to call it, conscience. What could be, what in the foot is going to be revealed something high? How can this be? This is a constant theme in Chassidut. Constant theme. This theme repeats itself over and over again, and it's always a big surprise. And the reason is because we really don't internalize it. It's a nice idea, but the Rebbe wants that this should be really not just a nice idea that we can talk about it and impress our friends or give a speech or something, get all excited about it. But the Rebbe wants us to really realize and utilize this. So he's going to say it 100 times. You told me, okay, you good, you said it, you already said it, but I said it, but you still keep doing it, right? You still keep doing the same things, and I want you to stop it, right? Good, you told me 1,000 times. I understand what you have to say, 100%. But I told you, well, you're now in England. On England, you drive on the left side of the street. Do you understand? Yes. So why do you stop? Why do you continue driving on the right side? Listen, I understand what you're talking about. Good. Okay, I get it. I get the point. We're in England. The laws are different. But you drive on the right side of the street. You can't do that. All right, I understand. You keep talking. It's the same thing. The Rebbe is trying to tell us that somehow or other, this physical world is higher than all the spiritual worlds. It's higher. It's closer to God. To do one good deed in this world is worth all the going to heavens and all the things. Do you get it? Yeah, I heard it. I heard it 1,000 times. But if we would hear it and we get excited about it, we would drive on the proper side of the street. We would get excited when we do the commandments. Okay, let's talk about it. So it says, in the future, you're going to realize this. It says, even your feet will be higher than this higher level of wisdom. Azoy gefind mir, we find also B'zman a Mashiach, in the time of the Mashiach. Oh, what does this say about the Mashiach? By Mashiach, it says, now this blessing which is to Asher, it's referring to all the Jews. Asher was especially, but eventually, let's see, the Mashiach is going to point this out. In the time of the Mashiach, what does it say? That his feet are going to be higher than oil. Oil, we said, is this aspect of Chachma, of awareness of God, above understanding. Understanding is Bina. And Chachma is above understanding. A connection to God which is above understanding. In the days of the Mashiach, your feet will be even above that. What do we see about the Mashiach? First of all, how can your feet be above intellect? What does that mean? What does that mean? Your feet don't have brains in them. We'll see. It says by Mashiach, says that his feet will stand on that day. It's a sentence of Zechariah, the prophet Zechariah. It says his feet will stand on the mountain of olives. Shemen is chachma. What do we say that oil, olive oil, is? We said is chachma. Zaitim, the olives, are the source from the oil. So that's higher than chachma. Harazaitim, the mountain of the olives, this is even higher from the olives. Warum? Because das is doch there, or this is the place from welche es kommt the olives come from the mountain. Eh? So we say that olive oil represents the highest aspect of human consciousness. Olive oil. But the olive oil come from a source that's from the olives. Huh? So the olives are even higher. That's even a higher level than high. The olive oil, is above human consciousness. And the olives is even higher than that. And there's the mountain from which the olives come. So the mountain is the source of the olives. The olives is the source of the wisdom of this oil, this awareness of God, which is like oil. And that's the highest aspect of human personality. Well, it says is as verstandig, so it's understood as harazaitim, so the mountain, if the oil is so high, and the olives are higher than that, and the mountains, which are the source of the olives, that must be their hoiben and midrega. This is a tremendously high level. Well, from deswegen, nevertheless, it says v'amdu raglav, that the feet of the Mashiach will be standing not just on the olive oil, not just on the olives, but on the source of the olives, the mountain of the olives, as a reglaim that his feet will stand higher than the mountain of olives. Now you might think, come on, what is this talking about? Is this really realistic? But you can see, take an example. Let's just take a simple example. We have all of the king's horses, all the king's men. We got all these wise men in the world, these great scientists and psychiatrists and psychologists and sociologists and economists. And they're trying to figure out, all of them are trying to figure out how to improve man. What's the best situation for improving man? So you put them all together in the same boat, and they all this wise wisdom, right? And it's all built up to now in our generation. What's the solution? Kill everybody. That's the same simple solution. You kill everybody, don't give birth to children. The old people you should kill. They give everybody shots, give everybody diseases, this and that. Little by little, there'll be less and less people. The less people, the better. Till it just remains me. I mean, this is probably the most stupid idea you could possibly imagine in all mankind. And that's what it's all brought to. So here we see that with all of this wisdom, all the libraries filled, packed with hundreds, thousands of books of these incredibly genius, wise philosophers and psychiatrists and this and all this, but none of them is really any little tiny flicks of intelligence flick up once in a while, and then it's misused, including all the religions and all the things. They're all just a bunch of lies. Look at all the religions here. All of them are lies. They're all false. Every single one of them. They're all just parts of the creation, and they claim to be the creator. Okay, claim to be the creator. So if so, we see that as high as human wisdom can get, if there comes along somebody that has a proper idea about what everybody's supposed to do. Here we see Yosef. Nobody could understand Paro's dreams. The Egyptians were tremendously genius, intelligent people. They were big magicians, it says over there, and they knew the secrets of the heavens and the earth. Couldn't be that there just happened to be there was no one as intelligent as Yosef was. So he was just a different type of a mensch. It was a different type of human being. But he stood on the wisdom of everybody else. And says the Rebbe here, you have no idea. That's just what it seems to us. He was smarter than everybody else. That's like saying that Samson is stronger than the strongest kid in the first grade. All the other kids in the first grade say, "Wow, Shmerel, he's the strongest one of all. He can actually lift up a garbage pail from a garbage can from outside. This is the strongest person. A garbage pail weighs like 30 pounds, and he can lift it up. And Samson is stronger than him. Huh? That's amazing. Okay, so relative to what we're talking about, yes, he is stronger than. But Mashiach is going to be smarter than the smartest of the smart of the smart, the most intelligent person you can't possibly imagine, smarter than King Solomon. To the degree that his feet will be standing not just on wisdom, which is represented by Chokhmah, and not just by the source of wisdom, which is the olives, but on the source of wisdom. Their Indian from Shem, and this whole idea with oil, with his foot in service means like this. Shemen is wisdom. What does this got to do with us? Good, the Mashiach is going to be great. Okay, what's this got to do with me and you? Oil meant as I learn Torah, that a person learns the Torah, and is mekayim mitzvahs and does the commandments. Val erat in them farstad. He has an understanding. He has an understanding. On a geshmak, and a pleasure. Oil is usually like something fatty, a pleasure. Abo regel, well, your foot, the foot. So oil means understanding, comprehension, accomplishment. I understand something. What's your foot? Foot means as zayin avoid is mitzad kabbalah soul, that you just do because you accept the yoke. You do what God says. In this aspect, the biggest genius and possibly in the world and the most simple Jew possibly are exactly the same. They just put on tefillin because God wants you to. You don't have to understand anything. This chach in plug is thus a nidruka madrega, seems to be a very low level. Varum, because eradach in them nit kain geshmak, he has no pleasure, un kain chayos, and no life. You just do it. You put on the tefillin, and that's it. What type of an accomplishment did I get? I put on tefillin better than someone else. No such thing. Everyone who puts on tefillin, they just put it on, right? And if someone's not putting on tefillin properly, so you fix them up, and then everybody is the same. Mer nid, but Kabbalah's oil. The reason you do all the commandments is because God said to. There's also logic in Kabbalah and mystical reasons and connections and all sorts of unifications by the commandments. But the main reason we do the commandment is not for all these spiritual reasons. And if you do it for the spiritual reasons, you're not doing it for the right reason. The right reason you're doing the commandment is because God says. And then afterwards, God also wants you to understand the spiritual reasons he wants you to. That's also true. But the main thing is to actually do. Doing the commandments, that anybody can do. That's like your feet. Huh? Compare my feet to, I don't know, to King Solomon's feet. Same feet, right? My feet are just as smart as his feet are. When I put on the tefillin, it's the same thing as when King Solomon put on the tefillin. Same exact thing. From this vegan, nevertheless, is done. Mila, there still is there's something better by serving God with Kabbalah soul, with just your feet, or if avoda from the service of God, of understanding. Why? Like we're going to explain that later. Therefore, is oich in Gashmis, the physical world, was the Inyanim from Gashmis, which is the physical world. They come from spiritual. For Rana Mila, there must be something better in the foot over the head. Was their regal, because the foot, Davka, is mashlim, it completes the head. Come aboard, like it explains in Likuti Torah, in another place. The foot has to have something better than the head, if for no reason that the foot completes. First of all, a person without a foot is not a complete person. Something's wrong. But he can walking and this, he's still a human being, but he's missing something. Number one. Number two, if a person understands everything that says in the Torah, but he doesn't do anything, here we're talking about your feet, your hand, it's the same thing. If you don't do it, so that's a joke. But you're making a joke out of the whole entire Torah. You understand everything, you can explain everything, but the main thing is actually to do. It's actually to do. It's like a person that has children, he loves his children, he buys them presents, but he doesn't feed them. Doesn't feed them. Why should I feed my kids? I feed my kids. They go to the bathroom, it's all dirty, and sometimes they don't clean their dishes off, right? They don't even, they get mad. Like, it makes me angry, right? Sometimes one of them leaves a little bit of a potato. Better, I won't give them any food. Then they become pure and they become quiet. So they're quiet. Kids become quiet. They don't make any noise. That's the best thing. You don't give them, you treat them really nice. You tell them how much you love them. You give them kisses and hugs and all the things it says in the psychology of raising children books, right? But what do I have to give them food for? What do I have to do, right? I read all the psychiatry books about how to raise children. It doesn't say anywhere you have to feed them. You have to feed them. Well, that's ridiculous. That's just insane. Well, it's the same thing as learning the Torah and not doing the commandments. You're not doing anything. I just feel that I love. If so, that's the advantage of the feet over the head, which we're going to talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Good. Have a good day with Moshiach now. God willing, hope to see you all at 8:15 tomorrow morning, and we'll continue learning that beautiful mimer in Hasidut about the wine and the Mashiach and how the sacrifices are the highest thing. Totally not understandable. The sacrifices are the greatest commandment. That's the whole thing Mashiach is going to make, that we're going to be able to do the sacrifices, the animal sacrifices. Again, he's going to bring them back. What could possibly be good about the animal sacrifice? We'll learn about that and much more tomorrow morning. Hope to see you at 8:15 in the morning. God bless you all. Have a good day with Mashiach now.